Hey there, welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Hey, we got to harvest some things and make some room in this garden for our next crops. Well, hello there. I am back from a week-long trip in which I went to visit my daughter in Illinois, and I haven't seen my garden in a week. My son has been living at our house taking care of Phoebe in the garden, and well, he said everything was well. I came back, everything looks great. In fact, what we're going to do today is not a whole lot. I'm just going to harvest some of my produce in my garden to make room for my spring garden. I've got tomatoes and peppers that I want to grow and various other things, and I'll show you my spring plan. I'll show you how I plan a garden and talk you through that as well. But first, let's take a look at what we can harvest. Well, earlier I pulled some carrots out of here. Let's see if we can get some more. Some of these are going to be undersized, and some of them won't. That one is, that is a weird carrot. That's 3 carrots fused into one, and they've split. That's very bizarre. That's what you get when you don't thin your carrots. What my goal is to have most of this stuff out of here within the course of this week, because I've got other things to plant. So I can come in here and find all my mature fruits like this Malaga radish. We could harvest some of this stuff and start taking these out, making room for tomato plants, pepper plants, and all the things that I really want to grow. Yeah, these carrots, these are the survivors. There's a nice skinny purple, cosmic purple. These are the survivors from the big freeze. There we go. There's another one. Not bad. And yeah, we would have had a whole lot more carrots had most of them not frozen back. But you get what you get, and you're thankful for what you get. At least I am. Here's one we could pull up. Yeah. Let's just kind of clear out these carrots. Take the little ones and the big ones. Let's see what we got here. That looks like it ought to be a big carrot. Oh, yep. Big yellow one. Even these little guys over here got roots on them. Encouraging. For the trials and tribulations we had this winter, we got some good carrots. Looking here, we got all these radishes, these French breakfast radishes. Hello, Phoebo. How you doing, good girl? Huh? You don't like radishes, do you? Hey. Psst. What are you doing? Huh? There's some of the bigger ones. Let's get these cleaned up. Now, I just washed the dirt off of them and popped the tops off. Give them a better clean when it's time to cook with them. Here's a tip with carrots. Get you a little brush. You can get the dirt out from all the little crevices. Then you don't really have to peel the carrots when you use them. I don't like to peel my carrots because the skin of the carrot has all kinds of health benefits, nutrition. I'm surprised actually how well the carrots did, considering that they got knocked back kind of at a critical phase of their growing cycle, by a big freeze that we had. And the ones that survived didn't look real healthy. But here they are. Here they are. Okay, well, it's not much for a harvest. I'm used to having 10 times that many carrots from my harvest, but we'll be thankful for what we got. We've got 3 varieties. I don't remember where this one came from. I don't remember. But I do remember planting cosmic purple and this orange variety, which I don't remember the name. But yeah, the freeze did give us some carrots after all. And of course, we've got a whole bunch of radishes still out there. I need to leave. I don't need to leave these leeks because I have those leeks over there. These were just kind of backups. But I don't want to pull them up just yet. I can plant my tomatoes and peppers around these leeks, we can interplant. But I do need to get this stuff. I'll get that stuff out when I'm closer to planting my tomatoes, because it's got flowers on there. As long as there's flowers on a plant, it is going to be drawing in beneficial insects like bees, pollinators, things like that. These cabbages, we can harvest these. These are a flat Dutch heading cabbage, and some of these plants in here are actually planted too close together, and we have several heads. That's a small head for such a large plant, but it's a variety I've not grown before. I've grown several other cabbage varieties. Move, you're going to get cut. Move. Nice. Here, you can have this. Here, go eat that. Have the core. All right, I've got one here. And one small, tiny one over here. Not bad. All right. Cabbage is one of my favorite things to grow because it's pretty much easy. There's nothing to it. They don't take much care. Yeah. Well, these purple cabbages, they're little pipsqueaks, but I need this area. So up they come. And we'll just kind of harvest that tiny little head in there. About the size of a softball or a grapefruit. All right, I'll take that. Yeah, it's nice and red inside. Awesome. This one's a little bit bigger over here. 2 plants growing here, only one of them started heading up. That's usually the case. One of your plants is going to outcompete the other. If you've got 2 plants in the same hole, yeah, you might be tempted to try to get away with that because, you know, let's say you go to the store and you buy a seed start down at the hardware store, and you think, well, there's 2 of them in there, I'll just plant them together and get twice as much. Normally that's not the way it works. One of the plants is going to outcompete the other, as we see in this case. We have this little head. Not bad, huh? Not the biggest old purple cabbage head, but that's plenty. I'll love that. I'll eat that, man. This calls for fish tacos. Clean my knife up and we're done with the cabbage harvest. Well, there's some of our cabbage, if I can keep it on me and not drop it all. Not a bad little harvest. Let's get inside. Here's an overview of my raised beds. I've got 3 of them, and they're made with concrete blocks. Somebody asked me recently, what are the dimensions of my raised beds? And I'm sorry, I can't give that to you because I forgot. I had it saved somewhere, and I've since lost it. I'd have to get the tape measure out and measure it. I do know that it is exactly 4 feet across, so you could kind of get the idea of how wide 4 feet across is and maybe do the math and count up the cubes if you really wanted to. Well, I've got 3 of them. I started them and they were all the same size as that far bed over there. They all came out to they all came out to exactly right there where that one ended. A few years ago I extended this one and this one, so they're all 3 different size. And I would extend that one further, but I have a Meyer lemon tree over there that gets rather large when it grows up. It's been cut back, but it'll fill that area. I suppose I could fill that. I could extend that. But we get sufficient gardening experiences with what we have here. This is primarily a teaching garden. If I was going to eat out of this garden as in survive and put food on the table and make a serious impact on my grocery bill, yeah, this whole bed would be green beans, or this whole bed would be sweet potatoes or high calorie crops that store well. It wouldn't be just some onions over there, you know, a few rows of beans and some leeks. It wouldn't be just a little bit of carrots. It would be designed different. But as it is, this is a teaching garden, and we do a lot of diversity, like a little patch of turnips to show how to grow turnips, little pepper plants here and there to show how to grow peppers. You know, we do little patches. But yeah, that's the overview of majority of my spring annual garden bed plots. That's where everything is going to go. All right, let's take a look at this plan. This is my overall master plan for my garden. And I create this in Adobe Illustrator, and that's only because in a former life I was a creative professional, and I use Adobe Illustrator still quite extensively. But you can see there my three main beds. I've got them drawn out exactly to scale, and every block there is accounted for. And I've got my little pot decks at the end of each of my beds, which are just kind of a composite board that I've laid down to keep the weeds down. I put potted plants there. And then I've got my patio and my all the beds that are in the backyard. Well, what I normally do is I keep my perennials on one layer, and if I turn each year off, I still see my perennials. And if I turn my annuals on for that particular season, it shows me what I'm going to put in my annual beds. So you can see in bed number 1, I've got my leftover fall carrots and radishes there. Some of those we took out today. In bed number 2, you can see I've got my leeks, my pole beans, and my onions, and I'm going to plug in some pepper plants there. I've actually got a little more room in that spot than what the plan shows, because I think I overextended the onions on my drawing. And in the bed number 3, we've got some tomato plants that I'm going to grow there. I'm going to try to grow my Edox F1 cherry tomatoes, those hybrids up a single string like I did a couple years ago that was so successful. However, those Edox tomatoes, I'm not sure they're going to make it. It's we're up against a shorter season now that we haven't been able to get them growing and tall early in February and early March. They're not out there yet, is what I'm trying to say, and they need to be out there. They need to be out there growing, but they got stunted. So we may or may not be growing that variety. And all the other varieties of tomatoes I haven't labeled on my master plan because I don't know what tomatoes I'm going to end up with out there. So there is how I plan, and I do each year, and fall and spring I do each year with this master plan. On my master plan that I have, I account for all of my growing beds. I account for the fruit that's growing up here on my patio. I account for all the fruit trees growing on the fig deck, except the figs. My figs get moved around so much that I don't account for them on my master plan. I account for all my fruit trees that are out here, like this apricot tree, like the stone fruits over there, and the apple trees out there in the berry corner. So I account for all of that on my plan, and it's nice to have everything accounted for. If I forget what variety of something I have out here, I can always look on that master plan and it tells me. I also keep a spreadsheet of all my perennials that includes all the data, like the history of that particular variety, like the blackberries and the apples, pruning tips, whether or not they're early or late, you know, all the data you need about a particular plant. I keep that all in a database so I won't lose it. Well, there's a little bit about how we're going to plant our spring garden and what we're going to do to get ready for growing. We're starting a little bit late. It's March 19th, tomorrow's the 20th, and that's when I'll really start putting some plants in. My seedlings didn't come up quick enough to be ready to go in when I wanted them in. Ideally, I would want my plants in zone 9A here on the Texas coast to be out in the garden, hardened off, ready to go by March the 1st. March the 1st is an average last frost date, but that's the key word, average. We had a freeze after March the 1st. In fact, the whole week after March the 1st was pretty snappy and cold. And then the week after that was nice and warm. We got some seeds started, but that's pushed us back a while. So we're up against having our fruiting plants give us fruit before the heat comes and pretty much destroys every spring crop. That's our wall at the end of the season, is the heat. Tomatoes, I love them, but most tomatoes just simply won't produce fruit if it's over, say, 90 degrees. The pollen, it's just sterile and won't fruit. So that's what we're up against. Now we're racing against time. So what I'm going to do is we're going to plant some of our seedlings, but I might also have to just go get some starts from the store. In fact, I've done that in a couple of videos. I showed you how to plant some of those. And by the way, if you live in the Houston area, H-E-B grocery store has excellent starts, tomato starts for $1.57 each. They're still there. I was there today. Yeah, they can't beat that price. That's great. So go get some, and they grow fast. I'm looking at one that was planted as a little start, and it's about 1.5 feet tall already. I'm going to show you how to prune that in the next, in an upcoming video. Hey, thanks for joining me today on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. I know we didn't do much out here, but I always like to visit with y'all and let you know what's going on, enjoy the harvest with you, and yeah, like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll talk to you next time. Happy gardening to you. Bye-bye.